Hello guys, I'm back. Sorry I had to take this important call, so I'm back. And what I'll do, because I'd not really gone far with this presentation or this live Facebook Live, what I'm going to do now is just to go through exactly what I've just gone through. And obviously, I just started on the Ethereum Classic definition. So I think we can just pick it up from where I left off, but just to go through some of the questions which I think are important for you to understand, because the reason I'm doing this is because there is a lot of movement now in the cryptocurrency and the blockchain market, to the extent that if we don't understand how it all works, we are going to be left out again in the global economy, because right now we are struggling to even use a foreign currency like fiat currency like the US dollar, because we were very slow in understanding what money is and how it is created, to the extent that a country like Zimbabwe is struggling to have its own currency. So I think it's very important that we understand how this Bitcoin and this blockchain and this Ethereum all works. So what I'm doing now is to go through one of the prominent blockchain applications, and it's called the Ethereum Classic. So I'm going to go through some of the frequently asked questions for Ethereum Classic and try to understand it together with you, so that you get used to the language, because currency or money is just a language, and the language of the fiat economy is coming to an end because of this blockchain application, in which money is just one of the applications. So blockchain encompasses a lot of applications, just like the internet encompasses a lot of applications which are based on the rules of the internet. So the internet is a set of rules. It's a protocol, which means it's a set of rules and regulations of how information is transmitted or shared or created on this internet platform. The same thing is true of the blockchain. It's a new set of rules which are different from the internet, but you can compare the two, because one is an improvement of the other. So the blockchain is an improvement to the internet, and it is solving, it's a solution. This is the important part. Bitcoin is a solution to fiat currency. Cryptocurrencies are a solution to fiat currencies. The blockchain is a solution to the problems bedeviling the internet. So the internet, as we know it, is no longer fit for purpose. It's no longer robust enough to withstand the amount of information that it is receiving, and to guarantee the levels of trust that are needed with that information. So we put out a lot of information now. Basically what the internet has done is that it has taken information and democratized it, so that each person can become their own media company. They can be a blogger, they can be a vlogger, and they can be a podcaster. So you can basically run a radio station, a newspaper, and a television on the internet. Okay, and we use applications such as YouTube for television, Anchor.fm or SoundCloud for radio, and we use WordPress, etc. For blogging, which basically is a newspaper. So basically you own your own newspaper now if you're a blogger. Even if you're blogging on platforms such as Facebook, you are a blogger. You're blogging. Okay, you have opinion. You're putting them out there. There's discussions going on. So the internet has been doing that, and even more, we have voice over internet, which basically is things like Skype. So it's been doing that. But there are problems. There are problems with the trust. And let me mention just one more thing which it's been doing, which is the internet has been able to transfer money. So we have platforms such as what do you call this one? The one that Elon Musk set up. Okay, so you're able. So we've got digital currencies already, and these digital currencies are able to transmit money from one person to another. But there are problems, and the major problem is the problem of trust, the problem of hacking, okay, the problem of leaks, the problem of fake news. And what makes it worse is that we're moving to a situation where we have the Internet of Things. Now, with the Internet of Things, it means that a lot of items are also going to be connected to the internet. They're going to be connected to other participants of the network, which means they are also going to be prone to hacking and to compromise. Their information is going to be compromised, which is why we're moving on to the blockchain, which is decentralized, which is more secure, which is encrypted. The blockchain, the Bitcoin is encrypted digital currency, so it is difficult to manipulate or to compromise it. So Ethereum is another platform, and today I'm just going to look at Ethereum. I think you can tell from what I've just said. I've said a ton of things, and I think the only way for people to get it, and even for myself to get it even more, is to continue talking about this on a daily basis, which is why I try to make this a daily vlog. We can call it a vlog because it's a video blog. It's looking at the stories which are making the news. But this one is a little bit old. It's February 25, 2017. But at the same time, it's important to go through this because we have the Bitcoin, and then we have the blockchain. We have Ethereum, which is the next platform or the next cryptocurrency after Bitcoin. But this is Ethereum Classic. This is not Ethereum. This is Ethereum Classic. So I'm just going to look at the frequently asked questions. So the first one is, what is Ethereum Classic? How is Ethereum Classic related to Ethereum? Okay, so there's a difference between Ethereum Classic and Bitcoin, just like there's a difference between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Okay, so there's a difference there, and there's Bitcoin Core. So what is a blockchain? What is a smart contract? Blockchain is a big one. What is a smart contract? And Ethereum is basically based on the smart contracts. So every time I say Ethereum, I mean Ethereum, not Ethereum Classic. So when you listen to podcasts, when you listen to people talking about this, or when you read articles, when you see Ethereum Classic, it's different from just Ethereum. When you see Bitcoin Cash, it's different from Bitcoin. So when you're speaking to someone who knows the difference between these, if you say one to mean the other, then you're going to cause a bit of confusion there. Okay, so what is a smart contract? What is Ether? What is gas? What is DAPP, DApp? How do I create a DApp? How do I purchase Ether for a DApp? What smart contract programming languages are there? What is mining? What is proof of work information? What is Coinbase? What is an uncle? How do I interact with the community? How do I learn about related news? I don't think the last one is that relevant. But anyway, The first one is, what is Ethereum Classic? So Ethereum Classic is a secure, censor-proof, reliable, public, trustless, and decentralized platform for running applications. So it's a decentralized platform for running applications. So it's decentralized as opposed to a centralized network. So with a centralized network, all the applications are running on a central server. So we've got a central server, centralized, where the applications are running. For example, if you're on Facebook now, the Facebook platform is running on centralized servers somewhere around the globe. Okay, somewhere around the globe, there are Facebook servers which are running the Facebook application. Okay, if it was centralized, it means the Facebook application would be running on local computers. So they'll be running on individual computers, but that is not the case. The application, the Facebook application, is not running on individual servers around the world or individual computers, but it's centralized. Ethereum Classic is decentralized, which means anyone who is on the platform or on the network, okay, is running the blockchain server, the blockchain application on their individual computer. Now, how is and it is public, just to be sure. So it is secure, which means there's encryption. It is reliable. It is reliable, which means it's not been hacked as yet. It is public, which means anyone can access it, but you need private keys to be able to do that. Trustless, which means there are no issues of trust, which are problems. So all of these, most of these are problems which have been solved from the internet age. So the internet platforms have got issues. Internet applications have issues of security, have issues of censorship, they have issues of reliability, issues of privacy, issues of trust, and they are centralized. Okay. On the Ethereum Classic, if it's censor-proof, it means that most of the information which you're putting out there is not being censored by the platform. Whereas Facebook can decide that this type of material cannot be broadcast on the network, and so they can pull it down. But with a decentralized network, it is the people on the network. It is the network which decides. For example, we can decide that if a lot of people are not happy with a certain post, it can be taken down. Okay, those are the cases in which they would intervene, but otherwise, it's mostly no intervention is required except what the network decides. So, how is Ethereum Classic related to Ethereum? So, to understand the relationship, it is important to know the history. It's especially important to be familiar with the DAO attack and how the Ethereum Foundation responded to it. Also, it is important to be familiar with the strong objections described in the Ethereum Classic Declaration of Independence. Okay, so we'll have to go to the DAO attack. In this piece, Siegel attempts to help journalists understand what happened when the DAO collapsed and why he believes is important for the process, for the press to get the story right. So these are the basic. The Ethereum network is a network of computers all running the Ethereum blockchain. The blockchain allows people to exchange tokens of value called Ether, which is currently the second most popular cryptocurrency behind Bitcoin. So Ethereum also allows people to write and put on the network smart contracts, general purpose code that executes on every computer in the network. Currently, there are over 6,000 computers. People then execute these programs by sending Ether to them, A DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. Its goal is to codify the rules and decision-making apparatus of an organization, eliminating the need for documents and people in governing, creating a structure with decentralized control. Okay, so that's the DAO. Now, what happened to it? Let's have a look at the bottom here. So unfortunately, while programmers were working on fixing this and other problems, an unknown attacker began using this approach to start draining the DAO of Ether collected from the sale of its tokens. By Saturday, the 18th of June, the attacker managed to drain more than 3.6 million Ether into a child DAO that is the same structure as the DAO. So there was a problem, and after that problem, there was a split, and the split resulted in the Ethereum Classic. So they call it a fork, so the soft fork proposal. The DAO contains roughly 15% of all Ether, so a failure of the DAO has a negative impact on the Ethereum network and its cryptocurrency. Okay, so a fork happens when a fork has been proposed with no rollback. No transactions or blocks will be reversed, which will make any transactions that make any call codes, delegate calls that reduce the balance of an account with code hash. Okay, so that's all. Buterin continued. The attacker responds. So does he. So you'd have to read this. Then there's a hard fork. So with a hard fork, there is actually two different directions that it takes. So let's see. By 4 p.m. local time, the consensus was that should a soft fork be deployed within 27 days, the attacker would not be able to retrieve the funds he had stashed into a child DAO. A subsequent hard fork could even return all Ether, including the DAO's extra balance and the stolen funds, back into a smart contract. The smart contract contains a single function, withdrawal. This would make it possible for everyone who participated in the DAO to withdraw their funds. So there was a real problem here. Responses to the soft fork. Okay. I'm gonna dedicate a whole let's see the summary. I believe we can say that this event marks the beginning of a new era of Ethereum's public blockchain. While the agile approach of ready, fire, aim generally works best with new software, it can be dangerous when 150 million gets loaded into the chamber. Ethereum was built as a general-purpose computer and the harbinger of a new decentralized model for computing and for society. So more needs to be, we need to look more into that. I'm just going to save that so that we can look at it at a later date, and then we can go back to the Ethereum Classic here. So let's have a look. So we've looked at how the Ethereum Classic is related to Ethereum, because they used to be one, but now they're separated. And that is called a fork. How is Ethereum Classic related to Bitcoin? So Bitcoin was the first blockchain application. Ethereum Classic is a general blockchain platform to run many more types of applications than Bitcoin can. So Bitcoin is basically just running a banking application in which it's the mining of Bitcoin to pay to produce Bitcoin, which can be used to pay for products and services. Whereas the Ethereum Classic is a general blockchain which runs many more types of applications. So instead of just running one application, it's running many more applications. And some of the applications that the Ethereum Classic is running are called smart contracts. What is a blockchain? So a blockchain is a special type of distributed database. So a special type of distributed database. So it's a database which is distributed, which means it is not centralized, which means it is decentralized. The most significant attribute of blockchains is that no one controls them. So that is the most significant attribute, which is why the blockchain threatens traditional institutions like banking institutions, like government institutions, like healthcare institutions, because those institutions are centralized. But the blockchain can take all of these different platforms, if they are placed on a blockchain, they become decentralized, which means no one controls them. But a blockchain has an incentive system, which is based on the consensus, which is based on the mining. So the mining is an opportunity for consensus, and the consensus brings about a winner as they race to solve mathematical problems, and the winner is rewarded in Bitcoin or in cryptocurrency. So it will be interesting to see what kind of tokens are related to maybe the education application or healthcare application or any other application. Okay, so there is no one. Everybody needs to trust to manage it. That is why they are referred to as being trustless. Users submit tasks in transactions that are grouped into blocks that are linked together to form chains. So the name blockchain is because users of the blockchain network submit transactions. So for example, if it's a blockchain which is based on a coffee shop, the transactions that you carry out when you buy a cup of coffee, those transactions are grouped into blocks, and then they are linked together to form chains, hence the blockchain. Okay, so that's what the blockchain is. What is a smart contract? Smart contracts are computer systems that manage assets such as automatic teller machines, ATMs, and the Bitcoin system. Ethereum Classic is able to run many types of smart contracts. If Ethereum Classic smart contracts are not mainly financial, it makes more sense to emphasize their autonomy by referring to them as agents. So, smart contracts are just computer systems that manage assets, such as ATMs. Okay, so if you look at Ethereum, the major difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin, Ethereum Classic and Bitcoin, is that Ethereum Classic, on Ethereum Classic, you can build smart contracts. For example, a musician can associate their music with a smart contract, so that the smart contract negotiates on behalf of the musician whenever anybody tries to use it for any purpose. So the smart contract could say, if you want to use this piece of music for YouTube, for example, it will negotiate a payment so that you get paid without you yourself having to set up a meeting and enter into a contract with the person who wants to use it. So basically what the smart contract is doing is that it's negotiating on your behalf. Okay, so once your music is out and it's got a smart contract attached to it, it will accept payments wherever it is being used. So it might have a slightly different contract if the music is used in a music video, or it's used in a YouTube video, or it's used in a movie. So those are all different places where it could be used, and every time the music is played, a certain amount is deducted and goes into your cryptocurrency account. So what is Ether? Ether and ETC denote the native cryptocurrency used to pay for tasks such as installing new smart contracts. So the Ether is native to Ethereum, whereas the Bitcoin is native to the Bitcoin blockchain. Okay, so the Bitcoin blockchain is using Bitcoin as the cryptocurrency, whereas the Ethereum is using Ether and ETC as their cryptocurrency. For what? For payment. Okay, for payments. And in Bitcoin, we normally talk about for the reward. So a Bitcoin miner who has been able to verify a transaction is given an incentive, or is given a reward, and that reward is Bitcoin. So that's what mining is. So this is similar to mining here. So the mining or the installation of new smart contracts, or the confirmation of transactions which are taking place within the Ethereum Classic platform, okay, are rewarded in Ether and ETC, okay, and that's the native cryptocurrency, which means it's native only to Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. What is gas? Gas is a made-up unit used to denote the amounts of resources required to do tasks such as installing new smart contracts. So that is just a made-up unit used to denote the amount of resources that are required to set up a smart contract or to install a smart contract. What is DAPP? So a DApp is a distributed application. Distributed application, that's messed up. They are also referred to as smart contracts on the Ethereum Classic system. The term is used to distinguish applications that run on blockchains from centralized applications. So an application which is running on a blockchain will be called a DApp for distributed application, because it's running on a distributed network or distributed platform or distributed protocol. So that's why it's called a DApp. How do I create a DApp? To create a DApp for Ethereum Classic, you must program one in a smart contract programming language. Then you must compile that DApp and install it on the blockchain from a funded account. Okay, so that's how you do that. How do I purchase Ether for an account? You can purchase Ether on several exchanges. You can also mine for Ether. So, and you can also be given some Ether. So you can mine, you can be given, or you can buy them on an exchange. So what is mining? So the mining part of it is when you are involved in the authentication of transactions which are taking place within the blockchain, and you are given the Ether as a reward for the work that you're doing. In fact, for the work that your computer is doing, but obviously you are the one paying for the electricity for it to do that. So basically, that's you mining. What smart contract programming languages are there? Solidity is similar to JavaScript and the most popular. So if you want to learn programming for blockchains, I suggest you learn Solidity. It's similar to JavaScript and is the most popular. Serpent is similar to Python and also available. LLL is yet another choice that is similar to Lisp. There are other smart contract languages being developed as well. So I was speaking to a friend the other day, and he's already a programmer. And so if you're listening, these are the languages that you can use. And as someone who hasn't even started programming, I might just go straight into this. I don't think I need to learn JavaScript before I do Solidity. I just go for Solidity straight away. So what is mining? So there are computational tasks involved in adding blocks. Remember, we said it's a blockchain. It's composed of blocks, and if you put the blocks together, you form a chain. But the addition of the blocks of transaction to the blockchain is done by computers. So computers on the Ethereum Classic network that voluntarily perform these tasks get a reward of Ether. So The Ether is a reward for a computer which is part of the Ethereum Classic network or blockchain and is involved in the adding of blocks of transactions. So when these transactions have been confirmed and they have been put into blocks, that task, okay, those tasks are computational. They are being done by computers. So when they say someone is a miner, they actually mean their computer is doing the mining. So you're not set there mining on your computer, but you just turn it on and it starts working. When a transaction takes place or when information that has to be added to a block is transmitted to the network, your computer is notified. They call it a broadcast. Your computer is notified, and when your computer is notified, it gets to work. And if it is the first one to, and this is guesswork, so it's doing guesswork in order to solve this mathematical problem, because the transaction is transmitted or is broadcast as a mathematical problem. And this mathematical problem is then solved by one of the computers. All of them are trying at the same time by the winning computer, by trial and error, because that's what it's doing. It's doing trial and error until it gets it right. And after that's done, it gets a reward of Ether or of Bitcoin if it's on the Bitcoin network. So for security reasons, miners compete to complete these tasks first and to complete the task first. So they are competing to complete it first. And then they win these rewards. This effort is referred to as mining. So that's what mining is all about. What is proof of work of information? So mining involves doing computational tasks whose sole purpose is to intentionally make mining difficult. Okay, so the whole point of the computational task is to make the mining very difficult, so that those who are participating really mean to participate, because it also costs. It costs you a lot of money in terms of electricity, and so if you are prepared to pay for that electricity, it means you really mean to help. So this difficulty is required to secure the network against certain attacks. So the level of difficulty is a security measure, because the more difficult it is, the less likely certain attacks are to succeed. So these tasks involve finding certain numbers related to each block. These numbers are referred to as proof of work information. So it's just finding numbers. So I think it's just trying to guess the correct number, and the one which guesses the correct number first is the one that wins, and is the one that gets the cryptocurrency reward. What is Coinbase? A Coinbase is a special transaction in every block that creates new Ether added to an account selected by the miner of that block. It can also refer to the primary account of a user. Okay, so there is actually a Coinbase platform where you can sell Ethereum, you can sell Bitcoin, and also you can sell Litecoin on it. What is an uncle? Several miners compete to submit blocks to the blockchain. Inevitably, some miners will lose competition. The blockchain references the losing blocks to make the blockchain more secure. So these losing blocks that contribute to the security of the blockchain are referred to as uncles. The term comes from the fact that blocks have preceding parent blocks. The losing blocks are not parents, but are still related to parents, hence they are like uncles. How do I interact with the community? There are several ways. The most important are the Slack channels. There is also a Reddit forum. Finally, several projects are hosted on GitHub. So that's where you can find the community. And you can also find them, I've discovered, on what you call this Telegram. Okay, so on Telegram there are some community there where they are talking about Ethereum Classic, Bitcoin, etc. So you can learn about related news on Twitter, Reddit, or Facebook. Okay, so thank you guys for watching this. What I've realized about this whole topic of blockchain and Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin, there's a lot to talk about. So I think one article, per video is enough so that we don't get too wide or too broad, but we try to hone in on a few concepts, because this is the language. This is the new language of money. The old language of money is fiat currencies, and a lot of problems are taking place with fiat currencies. And we're moving on to onto the blockchain using cryptocurrencies. So it's important to understand the new language of money, which is the new language of value creation and value transfer and the reward system for that. It's a more secure network. The blockchain is a secure network. It is decentralized, and so to make it secure, mining is taking place, and to encourage the mining, there is a reward system taking place, and this reward system is called cryptocurrencies, and Ethereum is one of them. But we also have Bitcoin, which is the more prominent one, and we also have Litecoin, and we have thousands of others after that. So guys, thank you again for watching. I will see you in the next video.